Okay, it's Wednesday, September 28th. This is a pre-opening SPY video about an hour and 15 minutes before the open. You can see here, first of all, yesterday on the daily chart, we ended up with a red bar. I shot a video here recapping this day at noon, and essentially it looked like this at that time, so not much happened for the rest of the afternoon. What you have developing here in the short run, first of all, is if you look at these 3 days, it's really 3 days of essentially overlapping price action, even though we're kind of biased a little bit to the downside. So that makes it a little tricky as to how we get out of here and whether we continue lower or possibly start higher. And the reason that's also a little bit uncertain is on the bigger picture charts, the weekly chart, we've reached our low of last week. We had a red bar the week before, and we pushed a little bit below that, so that was expected. Now that may be over, it may continue, we don't know. And on the monthly chart, we've reached some major targets that I've been discussing for a long time. So the question is here, how much follow through do you get, or is it time to consolidate, reverse, or maybe just pause? So because it gets a little uncertain, then that's where I'll in a second, go to my 15-minute chart here, the day time frame, and kind of see if that leads us towards the next directional move one way or the other, but we don't know at the moment. So essentially what I'm saying is, and it's a good time maybe to review kind of what I look at, it's a little tricky today in terms of expectations. I can't say for sure we're going to make a new low here, and I don't feel great that we're going to necessarily make a new high. It could be another inside day. That will become almost 4 days of consolidation, and then we'll start, then it will become clearer that a breakout's going to happen one way or the other. But it's a tricky scenario given, again, the overlapping price action in the short run and the fact that in the bigger picture we reached targets already. So for example, there are times here, this is the weekly chart, when we had a failure developing here, on the up move that couldn't go higher than the previous bar and then came to the midpoint of that bar. I was very excited to be going short on the days, knowing we were going to likely take out the low of the prior week. So there were a few days in here that were very good for short trading. Then once we had a 2-down week here developing, I got very excited to also look short on the daily time frame because I knew we had this monthly target in play. So when everything aligns, then you come to the daily chart and you get excited to look for continuing. Like here was an example of where we were excited to be short all week because of that monthly target after a 2-down week developing here. And there were some great, if I go to the 15-minute chart, back here, there were some great opening price action and short day trades that we were always keeping an eye on. So today we don't really have that anymore, and that's why it gets tricky. So the bottom line is we have to go to just the day time frame and kind of figure out and kind of see where price may start to lead us. In other words, if we can get some kind of 2-up action here, then we might be, filling in some gaps to the upside. If we pause, then we're getting, more and more of a tightening, consolidation that has a strong breakout potential, but we still have a way to go before really tightening a lot. And if we get some kind of down opening here, then we could be moving. I've discussed on a prior video, these yellow lines are the next bigger targets on the monthly and weekly time frames, one by one, that we're looking at, but we have to break below the blue line. So let's get to the blue lines. Essentially, what I'm getting at is these blue lines right here are kind of the overnight action. And for some reason, I was having it wasn't filling in properly on the SPY, but then it started to plot here. I looked at some other stocks. It was down big kind of pre-market, and we're kind of rallying up here now towards the close. So I'm just estimating, and it's very close to what makes sense here anyway, that the low of the pre-market is near yesterday's low, and the high is kind of yesterday's close. So essentially, what we're going to look for here today is see how opening price action moves relative to these, whatever the pre-market range ends up being here, the high and low. If we start out above, I'm going to monitor opening price action. Can we get above this green line? The green line is the open of the week. So if we have some kind of opening green action here that follows through on the first, bar or so, then I'm going to look to see if we could, I'll get long, and I'll look to see if we could take out this green area, which is the open of the week, which is up back here on Monday. And if we can do that, then I can get a sense maybe we're starting a 2-up two down failure on the weekly chart. If we can get to the midpoint of that week, we still have 3 days to go, and we might be getting a big reversal here since we've reached monthly targets. I'm not necessarily expecting it, but it's possible, and I'm going to let opening price action lead the way. The other thing would be that if we don't get below the low of this, opening action, which is the low of yesterday, then I sense we're going to be in consolidation. And therefore, I'm going to take, if any day trade set up, I'll watch opening price structure. I'm going to treat it as if we're in consolidation, because we're not going to get any push down towards those bigger picture targets here, until we break below that area. And we're going to have to let opening price action just determine whether we're breaking out lower today. And because we're rallying up strongly, it looks like, into the open, I'm not going to necessarily expect a big push down either, because I don't know, again, it's an uncertain time here. So that's kind of the main theme. So I'll end it there. We're going to use today's price action to maybe get a hint whether we're going up or down. It's a little trickier today versus other days in terms of expectations, and we'll just have to see where price leads us. And then, that's what I consider the beauty of, kind of the way I look at opening price action here relative to the pre-market range. Once I can establish what's happening in the day, I can start then making some expectations. Are we going to break out of consolidation? Are we going to possibly have a reversal, at a big picture areas if the weekly chart hits certain targets? Or are we going to be continuing lower here relative to targets that I know are below? So, that's when you don't know what to do, you come into the day just kind of watching price action here in the very short run and letting that begin to form expectations. And at some point, whether it's today or in the days ahead, it's going to be more clear whether we're heading down to these targets and you'll get excited for short trades, or whether we're getting some kind of opening, up week, green weekly action here that might have an opportunity to reverse this whole trend. So we'll see what happens today. And, open is about an hour away.